Unfortunately, I'm going to be selling my go-kart and replacing it with something different for next year. So this video, I'm going to go over how to take care of it and get it ready for sale. And while I'm at it at the same time, we're also going to winterize it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the gas out of it and try and get all of the carburetor and the fuel lines and everything empty with gas. So I'm going to use my fuel pump. Here's the fuel pump. I'm going to just start and drain all the gas. You can see real quickly, you got the fuel drum, fuel tank, and the pump disconnected. I'm just going to siphon it out to the bottom. Alright, next I'm just going to run the engine just to get the gas out of the system. So because we're going to be cleaning it up as well as getting it ready for sale, I'm going to take the gas tank out of it, going to take the motor off of it, and really give it a good wipe down and make sure everything's good to go for the next owner. So now you can see the gas tank's out. You can see there's lots of wear on the pan underneath and just dirt. It makes it hard to get in there with the gas tank in place. So now we can give it a nice proper clean, make sure it's all good to go. Okay, next I'm going to remove the wiring harness and the battery and get that out of there. Alright, next we're going to take the motor off and then have a look at the chassis. So I'm doing the motor, I just like to pull the chain guard out of the way. I'm going to loosen up the bolts on the bottom of the motor. Then I'm going to take the exhaust, loosen it up here, and then I'm going to start disconnecting harnesses. The first thing is the 8mm Allen bolts on the bottom here. There we go. You can see after a season of racing, these get worn down quite a bit. And so you will have to keep an eye on these, and eventually if the bolt gets eaten up, you'll have to replace the bolt, and you may have to replace the holder as well. These aren't that expensive, so just replace them if they get worn down too much. Too old, too new. Brand new parts going on. Whoever's buying this kart's getting a good deal. I'm going to make sure it runs just perfect. So I'm just taking apart the throttle cable. It just comes out, and then there's just a little 10mm. So that's your slide. Here so I don't lose it. Just take, slide this back in. Okay, now there it goes. That apart. Let's keep pulling cables out. So we have one cable there. We have a cable, you see my blue fingers back there. There's a cable down here on the motor. There's one up here on the starter. And then of course there's the Alfano 6. There's the Alfano 6 cable. So that includes the water sensor and the RPM sensor. So we'll pull those off of there too. The Alfano 6 is staying with me. It's not going with the cart. That connector back there, it's hard. I don't know how to do that nicely and easily. It's kind of a pain. Okay, look at that. We got the motor off and you can see how dirty everything is. My goodness, is it dirty. This will all get cleaned up so it looks just like new, as best as can be. And the motor is sitting right there. And it's wonderful. What a great motor. It's been an excellent rebuild. We're going to go over and clean it all up, change the oil on the bottom, change the fluids on the inside, clean the power valve, put a new spark plug in it, change the air filter, and then the carb and the fuel pump. I'll likely rebuild the fuel pump, and the carb I'll likely get Joey to do because that takes a little bit more knowledge. Yeah, this will be a lot of fun. We should be able to have this all wrapped up today. Okay, now we're going to pull the seat off and get that exhaust off. Okay, seat is off and all the spacers are where they're supposed to be. And the exhaust is off. And we'll give that a nice wipe down, clean it all up. Having a quick look, you can see the brake looks pretty good, but there's some problems here. You can see these little, I'm gonna make sure the camera's pointing in the right direction. You can see these little half circles, and some of them are starting to disappear. You can see that one's kind of half disappeared. And on this side, you can also see the half circles. They're starting to disappear. That means the rotor is getting pretty low, and that's usually a wear indicator for the rotor. So I have a new rotor on order. Hopefully it comes in. Brake pads are still good. We'll just clean this whole area up. We'll go over everything, make sure it's all good. We're not going to do too much brake maintenance right now because it's still going into winter. You want to do your brake maintenance in the spring so you have fresh fluid going onto the track. It's a little bit too far from spring to do that. There it is. This is as clean as it's been since I've owned it, I think. Nice and shiny. It's all degreased and everything spins nicely. What a beauty. Just going through spare body parts here, making sure I got what I have pulled together. And soon will be coming the motor. This is all nice and degreased, and this is all clean. It did take some time, I'll be honest. But now it's looking pretty good. Well, it did take a little bit of time to do that, but it's looking pretty clean now. Okay, so I have the intake plenum off and clean. This is all apart. I just took this all off as one assembly so I can clean it up. I'll rebuild this later. And we're just gonna spend a few minutes and just clean up the motor and just take some time and make sure it looks pretty. Okay, so it's clean enough now. We're gonna have a look at it. We're gonna maintain the pinion and the sprocket. We're gonna drain all the fluid out of the block. We're gonna replace the oil. So let's start with the sprocket and the pinion. We'll get that going first. Very much like when you get this thing on the cart. First thing is to pull the cover off, which we will do. Just going to give it a wipe. Okay, the key goes in the corner. We got our socket, 17 mil. It's off. This little spray with brake cleaner. Clean in there, get all the metallic dust out of there. Okay, have a look at your inside here, just make sure it looks okay. Nothing too fishy going on in there. Since I got this off, I'm just going to give a little spray and just a little bit of cleaning underneath here. It's not very often I get to go in here and clean this up, so. Mulchel 300. Just a little bead of grease like this. Give it a little rub. Kind of lube it all up. Give it a little rub. Give it a little rub. Give it a little rub. Rub. Just 25, 30 foot-pounds. Okay. We'll put the cover back on. That comes out. Next, I'm going to pull the power valve cover off. We'll look inside of there. Okay, spring. So all I do is just look to make sure it's not too bad. It's not all scraped up and full of gunk. And if it is, just clean it. If it's scraped up badly, then get a new one. So this is the head from last year. It's got some really intricate channels inside. And it's really quite neat if you see what this looks like. So this head goes on just like this. And you want your slider. It's going to slide down just so it's nice and flat and perfectly flush inside there, if you can see it. So if you put it the wrong way, it's going to look like that. Put it the correct way, it'll look like that. Okay, so we got this all together. Remember the curved side is on the bottom, so it's tapered this way, flat, and tapered, and then in she goes. You know what I forgot? Spring. Next we're going to do the transmission oil. Got some Motul 10W30. We're going to do 100 mils of this. We got to drain it out of here first. All you do is just drain from the bottom plug. So while that's draining, I'm just going to measure out the new oil. So once 100 cc or 100 milliliters, same. And I usually put in just a little bit less so that it doesn't burp out into the spill can. Just a little bit. What's up? Are you having fun yet? Are you getting bored? I hope not. Glycol time. We're going to do the glycol. Okay, so for this, I use Prestone antifreeze and deionized water. You want to make sure you use deionized, not anything else. In Canada, it gets a little cold, so we do a 50-50 mixture. So I have pre-mixed out here. Now you will want to top it up. You will want to check it to make sure it's full because it could be some air bubbles in the system. So just check it after your first, run. The last thing we're going to do today is do the spark plug. Now it's hard to read these plugs because they get fouled really quickly, but a little bit of brown is good. I don't know if that shows up. Brown. It's not completely black. There's a lot of black around it, but that's hard to avoid with the two-stroke to idles as rich as this thing does. Okay, that's it. So we checked the power valve. We cleaned everything up. We did the oil. We did the glycol. Changed the spark plug. What else did we do? We pulled the carburetor and the fuel pump off. I didn't service it in this video, but you can. It'd be a good time to do it while you're putting it away. And then it'll be a good time to wash your air filter and make sure that's all good to go. We'll pull it out again in the spring and we'll see what we can do. Thanks for tuning in.